You are listening to the Unsoberly Sober Show. I'm your host, Magnify Maggie. This podcast will turn your perception of going sober upside down. We're going to be working from the inside out to get you that dream life. So make sure you stick around for the end of the episode where I'm going to walk you through our weekly positive pursuit exercise to begin rewiring that beautiful mind, baby. Hello again, my free and powerful friend. Let's talk about a funny little thing that I have experienced recently that has really opened my eyes, even as progressed as you can say I am in my journey. I opened my eyes to the fact that, you know what, for a lot of my life, I was not in fact addicted to alcohol, but I was addicted to a victim mindset. And as I kind of act as an open book here on the Unsoberly Sober Show, I want to share my past with you to help you see that no circumstance in your life is insurmountable. Nothing can ever dictate your failure unless you allow it. And, you know, I use all of those pieces, especially the past two episodes. We've been really diving deep into those pieces and parts of us that form as children and taking things from the past and understanding them now. But that's not to say that there still aren't things going on in my life right now that cause hurdles, challenges, a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety. And I recently went through something that I wanted to share as that open book because there were a lot of moments where now here I am in my sober identity experiencing what I will call betrayal and seeing how this new version of myself is handling it. And so many moments of like, oh, old me would have wanted to do this. Or these really deep paradigms coming to surface to try to protect me in that moment of hurt and rejection and, again, betrayal that I could see were the driving force in my old drinking personality to then escape. So, you know, what I'm talking about, I recently went through a painful experience. I'm going to try to keep it as private as possible because I want to protect some privacy. But I think it's really important to be vulnerable and share these stories. So, you know, I went through something where one of my most beloved people in my life deeply hurt me, and there was trust broken between us. This is somebody that, you know, through me sitting in my feelings, I recognized I want this relationship to continue. So how am I going to transition from being a victim to being the hero of this story? And so often I talk about my past and I say, you know, it's not about what happens, but how we feel about what happens. And we can apply that to the past. And sometimes we can just get an abstract message from it or abstract feeling from it. But when we apply it to what's going on in the present, in our present moment, then it teaches us on a deeper level. So, you know, I will say that this experience was jarring, to say the least, because I found out that, you know, there were things going on behind my back. And of course, in the information age, when connection is so readily available through social media platforms, all these things, there was something going on behind my back that really hurt me. And when I found out, there was this intrinsic satisfaction that I got from finding out. It was weird. This is how I was saying, you know, our current version can recognize those old paradigms and programs that were operating to make us drink or, you know, any form of self-sabotage. When I first found out, I saw betrayal, and in that betrayal, it was like this little voice in my head of like, aha, you fucked us over. You fucked me over. Now I get to go be crazy. Because that was like always my first route in the past. If somebody hurt me, friend, a coworker, romantic relationship, if I ever perceived rejection, abandonment, mistrust, then instead of allowing myself to feel those feelings, sadness, and experience the pain, my mind said, what would make you feel really good? And that would be escaping, kind of throwing all caution to the wind and saying, because this person did this thing to me, now I get to go be wild and be crazy. And I can go on a 3-day bender and nobody can tell me that I'm wrong because look at my circumstances and this person hurt me. And that's how like I had this kind of night and day reflection of myself, my previous self, sitting on the couch about 2 weeks ago, going through this. It was very strange because a part of me did feel this weird excitement from being hurt. And when I sat with that excitement, it was literally anticipation for running away from the problem to feel better. And when I say running away from the problem, I've been in my sober journey and I would say alternative sobriety journey, for about 5 years. And in that, I haven't really experienced, any type of level of discomfort, the same as what I experienced as a child. Everything has been pretty stable. I've experienced a few heartbreaks, a few heartaches, but this is really the biggest thing that's happened in my life. And so being able to see how I handle it now and being aware of the mindset that was trying to take over, what I used to do was like the moment somebody betrayed me or hurt me, it was my excuse to not just go drink, but go drink around people that would validate how hurtful that person was. And I think that my drive, my paradigm that was showing up in this moment was, you don't have to sit with this pain because you could run away and be careless and drink and go surround yourself with people that you could gossip about this with instead of trying to get a positive perspective on it or, change the way you feel about it to make it something that makes you strong. You can just go self-sabotage and sit with people that affirm and validate all of the rejection feelings that you have. That was my old paradigm, and it was screaming the past few weeks. It was like, don't sit alone. Don't make up your own assumptions about this experience. Don't make up your own mind. You should go drink and see what other people think you should do. And if you've listened to especially the past 2 episodes, you'll know that that was something within me that was built out of this need for external validation. I was never able to form my own opinions about something, meaning I didn't really trust myself. In those previous experiences of relationships, someone showing their true colors and maybe overstepping my boundaries, I would be angry at them. I would escape. I would go talk shit about them and gossip and get all of those feelings validated. But eventually I would forgive them enough so that I could almost continue to harp on them in a way that continues their need to apologize and their need to make up for what they did to me. So in my new state of mind, and this is really powerful, I think, for anybody that's looking at life through the lens of, I'm still drinking, I don't know how to handle stressful events. I don't know how I'm going to handle life events. You will get strong enough, because what kept me from that escape mechanism, that victim mindset, was all of the experiences that I've built up in my sobriety, which is to say, you will have these as well. You'll build up this confidence that this too shall pass, that if you do not escape this thing, your mind will come up with a way to make this feel good. Because through all of my behaviors in the victim mindset that I was so addicted to, it was almost in order to prolong the pain so that I prolonged the comfort that I got. And I was looking for that comfort outside of myself because, again, I didn't trust myself to make my own judgment calls on what I should do in a relationship. I didn't know how to look at myself as I didn't necessarily cause this to happen to me. You know, I'm sure there's ownership and accountability that I can take in this relationship connection, but this isn't all my fault. I don't have to play that victim role. And I think that, you know, as I was going through the motions and just being hyper aware over the past few weeks, I've really seen how that old victim mindset was playing because I was consciously aware of the voices that it was, you know, speaking to me through. It would say, you know, oh, if you're going to call a friend about it and they ask you how you are, they're going to expect you to be hurt and play a victim. But in my mind, I actually was like, you know what? I haven't drank, so I don't feel as down in the dumps. I haven't been just consistently talking smack about this situation and this person. So I'm not all riled up. I'm kind of oddly at peace, which almost felt like a betrayal to myself to say I can be at peace even if somebody hurts me. I can feel okay about myself even if somebody hurts me. That was very foreign to me. And that to me means that I really am, it's like the proof in the pudding, right? I really am becoming a stronger person. And this is just that nod to you that this is your potential too. I am no different than you other than I've studied a lot and I become very aware of patterns and voices in my mind that are telling me to do things. And this is all a potential within you as well to understand these voices. You know, when my friend called me, I felt myself innately driven to vent. And again, like you just can't believe what this person did to me. But that isn't going to make me feel better. That isn't going to allow me to, you know, down the line, forgive this person without the pressure of, oh, well, all those people that I talked shit to, I'm going to have to explain my way out of that and tell them that like this person's actually my friend again. And like, you know, I kind of keep things more inside in that respect. And I think that's okay. That's one of those balancing acts of what feelings do you express and what ideas are healthy to express and which ones do you need to just kind of let go of and not stew in. So even though I found myself wanting to vent, I spoke about things in a way that was more about me. It wasn't about what that person did to me, but just how I was feeling in that moment. And that did feel better. That felt a heck of a lot better than venting. But to continue, and what I kind of talked about a second ago was like, I found myself in my head saying, well, how would a victim respond? I was afraid to let myself smile and let myself laugh and be like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm getting through the day. I'm doing okay. Like that felt fake to me because I believed that I needed to be the victim in this situation. And that's very untrue. What would be more authentic for me would have been like, you know what? I woke up sad, but I'm not letting it consume me. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do my workout, things of that nature. That would have been authentic, but I almost felt like I had to play that role because I believed that that's what somebody who had been hurt needed to be. It is so jarring to my mind to think that somebody can be happy in the midst of somebody hurting them, as I said earlier. So I think that when I recognize this in so many past occasions, it really opens my eyes to see that I used to embody that victim mindset out of an expectation that that's what other people thought of me or needed me to be. So for instance, you know, there's so many dates on the calendar that are significant anniversaries for me. You know, my brother's birthday and then the day that he passed away, my dad's birthday, the day that he passed away, Father's Day, Mother's Day, my mom's birthday, all these things that, you know, I lived a really long time thinking that on those days, I was a victim. I had to be sad. I had to play that part. And so when people would call me, you know, even my stepmom would call me and she talked to me on my dad's birthday. There would be, especially the past year, 2 years, there were days where I wouldn't think about anything at all until that phone call. And then as soon as that phone call came in, it was like, oh, now I need to play sad because that's what people expect of me, because that's what anybody who's been hurt would feel, right? But no, that's how I was conditioned, because I saw every time my mom was hurt by somebody, it caused catastrophe, and she could never forgive them, but she would always harp on them for the rest of their life. That's how I was conditioned. Even with my dad, as much as I love him, and he really was that rock for my entire life, he wasn't perfect. And what I recognize is when I was hurt by somebody in my adult life, I would call my dad, and his first response would be like, baby girl, I'm gonna get you a flight out here. Don't you worry. Like, just come stay with me and F that person, and you never need to talk to them again. And like, he really did help program that conditioned response of like, I need that validation from somebody else that I am the victim and that person was in the wrong. But guess what? Most of the time, especially if it's somebody that you could see a future with of forgiveness and releasing any kind of resentment, that person knows that they did wrong. And they're probably speaking to you in a way that you can sense that they know that they did wrong. But when other people continue to tell you that they're a bad person and you're taking you're airing your dirty laundry to them over and over again, they're going to reiterate what you should be kind of cautious against that person from. And so that forever will create this dynamic of non-forgiveness, of forever resentment. And so I really had to decide, and I was having so many flashbacks. I even was like, man, I wish I could call my dad right now. And then I thought that through, and I was like, even if he were here, I could call him, but what would that look like? That would look like me getting more upset. That would look like me being more distraught. That would look like probably me running away from the situation so that it didn't get solved. And that wasn't what I wanted. So for the first time in my life, I sat with an extremely painful feeling for days. I would say I'm just now kind of coming out of it. An extremely painful feeling without venting to others, without taking my dirty laundry and airing it to the world, asking for attention and comfort. And you know what I've found? Because I'm all about experimenting, creating a hypothesis, and then observing it and drawing conclusions, is that my conclusion is that when you don't take your dirty laundry and air it to other people, and you don't stew in something, and you're not looking for the worst in somebody, and you're not bringing past pains into the present circumstance, you're actually able to forgive people much easier. You're able to find that hero mindset. And so the way that I shifted how I felt about this thing that happened, again, not what happens to us, but how we feel about what happens. How I shifted my mindset into hero mindset. A hero is somebody that's always gone through adversity, but comes out on top, right? So I went through my adversity and I said, first off, do I want this experience to steal my power for weeks, months, years on end? Do I want this to consume me? No. Do I want this to be a chapter in my life that is prolonged past the date that it really needs to be? Because there are so many things we can count back. I can count back in my life. You can count back in your life. Things that happened that you could have left there, but for some reason, the emotional carryover just strung them along for months or years past their due date, so to say. Is this one of those things that I want to continue taking hits on for the rest of my life or for the next few years? Absolutely not. I want this experience to be something that teaches me, right? And that's a paradigm that I have built into my mind to override the paradigm that was trying to come up saying, escape, go talk shit to people, go, drink your life away, go be the victim. I have this new paradigm of make this something that teaches you. Let this be a lesson. Let this be a universal sign, something that wakes you up from a stage that you weren't consciously aware of. And as I sat there, I did think about wine a couple times, and I thought that would make me feel more depressed and more stressed. So no, thank you. Shoved that idea back into the corner. And then I said, you know what? What I want from this is for our relationship, this person and I, to be stronger. And this is a waking up point for me that I have been very focused on work. So I haven't been responding to texts. I haven't been, reaching out. I haven't been doing the phone calls. I haven't been giving love to this person the way that I used to, because I've just been focused. And again, anything that you're trying to shift from victimhood to herohood, so to say, in your mind, like, take accountability, but don't beat yourself up for it. Take real accountability, knowing that that's something that you can change, instead of beating yourself up over it for how long you did it. Just be like, I noted, okay, how can I change that? So I'm like, I've been really focused, caught up in work. How do I devote more time to my relationships? How do I devote more time to showing people that they are very special to me? How do I carve out more time to be present, instead of just being with this person physically, but mentally be thinking about the podcast or about social media or about clients and business? How do I sit with that person and really be attuned to them? That's really what my mind came up with. It was like, okay, the universe was telling me that I need to be more present with this relationship, because here I am talking on the podcast about being present in relationships, and I'm not practicing what I preach. Okay, cool. That's a little bit of a sucker punch. But does that mean that this experience can be that wake-up call? Absolutely. If I didn't look at this experience through that positive lens of what could come of this, what hero storyline could unravel, then it would be very easy to have gotten lost in the sauce on a weekend bender that perpetuated into the week and beyond. It would have been very easy to be wallowing and to still feel physically and mentally sick. When you're really down in the dumps and then you start drinking, it's like you're not just physically sick, you're mentally sick, you're depressed, you're more anxiety ridden. And again, that prolongs the experience. I've talked about this in the Magnify community, and I know that this is a message that has kind of been passed around the internet before, but I'm a Kansas girl, and in Kansas, the buffalo is like the state mascot. And I remember going to the Kansas History Museum, and in the Kansas History Museum in Topeka, you walk in and there's this giant taxidermied buffalo, and they tell us all these stories about the buffalo, and there's the story about the buffalo versus the cattle. And in observing these different species, they've seen that buffalo, if they see a storm, the clouds are brewing, they can smell it, they can feel the water in the air, they know it's going to storm, the thunder and lightning is starting soon. The buffalo will actually run towards the clouds, towards the storm, because they can instinctively recognize that if they run towards the storm, then they're going to face it. Yeah, that might suck, but they're going to be out faster, right? Well, cattle are different in that they sense the storm and they run away from it. And what happens then is that they're running, the storm is slowly catching up to them, and then eventually it's a downpour on the herd, right? And so think about, for the cattle, the time that they recognize the storm, and then the time that they're running away from the storm, and then the time that it finally catches up to them. Think about how much of their life, if you could track that, and maybe think about it more fundamentally in your life. If you could track all of the time that you've spent running away from problems through drinking, going out and needing external validation, needing to complain to receive that comfort, that could like jazz you up into not doing that. Because I think if I calculate and quantified the time I spent running from my issues, I mean, it would be obviously about 16 years with drinking, but maybe more than that beforehand. When I was running away physically, I would move from dad's house, mom's house, dad's house, mom's house, so that I could kind of be running away from the problem instead of ever sitting and solving it. So I say all of that because when you are playing victim, you are prolonging the issue. But I think it comes from a place of needing to fill the void of something from childhood. So for me, this perception of betrayal, this hurt that I experienced the past couple weeks, this is really how the past shows up in the present, and how at first I was playing victim. There was no narrative that was showing up for me saying, oh, this could make you stronger. I had to really sit long enough with myself to come up with that and actually believe in it. This could make you stronger. This could, be the thing that wakes you up to being more present with all of your relationships. Before, it was this person rejected me and abandoned me. That hurt the same wound that was originally caused when I was 6, 7, 8 years old by my mom. So very often when we are playing victim, it's not that we're playing victim to what's happening right now, although your mind will trick you. It's very cunning. It will trick you into thinking that you are very upset about what's happening right now. Yes, there are parts of you that are upset right now, but if you are playing victim, there is a major aspect of yourself that is showing up from previous wounds. So the fact that somebody, and I'll kind of break this down in a very simple example. Let's say somebody doesn't return your text message. That was like one little piece of my story, just to give a little details. Somebody doesn't return your text message right away. You could be really hurt and really upset and be kind of flung into a mini victim circumstance. Why doesn't this person respond to me? I don't know why this person doesn't respond to me. You're really upset. You're anxiety ridden. It actually doesn't have to do with that person not texting you right now. Because think about how many other interpretations are. That person could be on a phone call. That person could have left their phone in the car. That person could be in a movie. There's so many things. That person could have literally read your text message and said, I can't be on my phone anymore today. I'm going to text that person back tomorrow. Like, there's so many other possibilities, but your mind comes up with, they aren't texting me back because I must be stupid. I must not be good enough. Whatever that internal, why are they texting me back? Oh, they must not like me. Oh, they must not approve of me. Those are the wounds that are showing up from the past, but in the present moment. It has nothing to do with what's going on. Very little to do with what's actually going on now, but it has everything to do with your previous little t trauma and big T trauma, those voids that were created in childhood. So this experience to me was exaggerated because it tugged on all of those core wounds of rejection and abandonment. And so instead of letting this be one single event, it felt like this has been something happening all my life. It felt exaggerated. And when I could sit with myself long enough, not escaping, not talking shit, then I could see, you know what? This is just one blimp, one dot on my map. And it doesn't have to carry on from here. And it actually has really nothing to do with me not being a good person, so everybody abandons me and rejects me, which was, a character trait, a belief of mine from childhood. And I want anybody that's listening to this to start to notice these beliefs and notice when you start to transition into victim mindset. Know that you will feel completely justified in your victim mindset, but it's going to be up to you to talk yourself out of that BS and say, nope, I am not a victim. I am a hero. What about this situation is actually happening in the present moment that I can pay attention to that I can maybe take accountability for, or start to recognize what I will need to forgive, what I will need to have a communication, a back and forth communication dialogue with this person about, but then start to recognize what parts of this experience are making me even more angry or hurt because it's connected to something in the past. And am I projecting a core wound into this right here, right now, because I'm looking for soothing, because I'm looking for an escape? I think it's really interesting that I see, in the past, I subconsciously searched for ways to be hurt because I connected, if I'm hurt, yay, I get to drink. If I'm hurt, yay, people are going to comfort me. If I hurt, yay, I get to be the damsel in distress. So it was almost like my mind then started to look for things to be hurt about. And that's where the addiction to victim mindset comes in. So your exercise, kind of mixed with what I just said, go in every time you perceive a victim mindset coming on, become very aware of it, and then question, is this happening now, or is this something that I'm pulling from my past? To carry on with the exercise for this week, like I just mentioned, when I was living in my victim mindset, I was looking for things to be a victim about. That's the way the mind works, to become validated in your experience. It's always searching. So even if somebody said you look nice, if you want to play victim, you're going to be like, well, you just have to say that because you're my friend. And like, no, they genuinely said that. But how powerful perspective is. The exercise. Audit what satisfaction you get from being a victim. Again, satisfaction. What is being a victim giving to you? And you don't have to do this with any shame or guilt. Just do it objectively. Like, when I am hurt, what satisfaction, what makes me feel good about being hurt? And this is really snap of your fingers how you can cure your victim mindset and your addiction to victim mindset. Because when you do this exercise, it's somewhat like shadow work, it's kind of called. But if you can start off like a journal, say, when I am a victim, it makes me feel good because ... Have some flow music on and don't think too consciously. Just kind of let yourself, non-judgment, free write. It could be bullets. It could be random words. It could be little pictures. It could be explanations of vibes or feelings. It might not make a lot of sense, but just let your mind roll. When I am a victim, it makes me feel good because. And when I was doing this exercise the past few days, it was like, it makes me feel good to be a victim because that means that I can go out and have a free-for-all with alcohol. That was my old mindset, right? And what did that mean? It meant that I didn't have judgment. If I was going to drink as much as I wanted, I didn't have judgment, which meant that when I wasn't in a victim mindset, I knew that I wasn't healthy with my drinking. And I knew that there were people probably judging me. But if I could be victim, then nobody can judge me, right? So I was almost using the victim mindset to encourage the excess of drinking, how the cycle perpetuates, right? Just feeds into each other. Again, being a victim gave me the happiness of being the damsel in distress. Over the past few weeks, I've really realized that as a kid, I even was drawn to damsel in distress dynamics. And I think this is because I was a little girl wanting to be saved from my life. There were a lot of things that I wanted to literally be whisked off my feet and coddled and told everything's going to be okay. I love you so much. The damsel in distress story. I loved that. And I think being a victim really made me feel like I was playing damsel in distress, and anybody that gave me attention was that knight in shining armor and just whisked me away and made me feel better so that I could drink more, which was weird. And as I started to go through this list, it was really, again, eye-opening that these were ways that I used to live my life without realizing it. And I think that as you continue to listen to this podcast and use the resources and use these exercises, you're going to see that there is so much going on beneath the surface, unconscious behavior. When you're like, I don't know why I do what I'm doing. I just keep doing it. I just find myself, all of a sudden I open my eyes and I'm half a bottle down, or I'm eating all of the Oreos. Like, there's so many things that us as humans in life find ourselves in these situations where it almost feels like we woke up from autopilot and here we are self-sabotaging. There are moments before you wake up unconsciously stuffing Oreos in your mouth or drinking a fifth. There are moments that you can train your brain to become aware of to intercept that behavior. And I think it's just so powerful when you start to do these audits over and over. It expands your awareness so that you're able to figure out why you're doing what you don't know why you're doing. And that in and of itself is a major, major, major cure or antidote, in my opinion, to the victim mindset. So I hope this week's episode brought you some uplifting vibes if you're going through some hard moments, to really help you see that you can be the hero of your story, and that victim mindset is only going to prolong it. But if you find that you are very drawn to the victim mindset, there's a reason. There's a reason, and you can do that audit. You can do that weekly exercise to start figuring out why. And then reach out to me. I'm here to, yes, give this amazing free content on podcast, but all of this is much more individualized with clients. If you're struggling right now, reach out to me. There are links in the description. We can talk about how I take this information and apply it to you and spin it in your terms so that your life starts getting better, just like mine. Remember, I'm not showing you what another breed of human can do. I'm showing you what you can do, what your potential is. So if you're ready, please reach out. Let me know, because I want to help you think different in order to drink different, or never again, because it all goes down in the mind. See you next time. It means the entire world to me that you have been here with me, letting me share my experiences and hopefully helping open your eyes to a bright, beautiful life ahead of you as well. So if you are loving this show, please, please, please subscribe, like, comment, and especially share this with somebody that might be in need. Please help get the word out. Word of mouth is so important, and I know that you're somebody special who can help me in this mission for thinking differently in order to drink differently or never again. Make sure you reach out if you have any questions you want discussed on the podcast. I'm here for it, so I'll talk to you soon. Signing out, Magnify Maggie.